Hello class! Good day! Welcome to Grade 11 Philosophy Online Class. I'm your teacher, Mrs. Lovely J. Tupal. You can call me Mom Love. For our topic for our first module in our first quarter 2, Module 5, Freedom of the Human Person. You're going to know at the end of this module 4 important things. First, understand the true essence of freedom. Second, exercise prudence in making choices. 3. Rationalize that choices have consequences. B. Some things are given up while others are obtained in making choices. And 4. Choose situations that demonstrate freedom of choice and its consequences. Okay, so before we start, I want you to get a piece of paper or even your notebooks in my subject. You're going to write the letter of the correct answer in your notebook. I'm going to read, then you're going to answer, then I'm going to give the correct answer. Okay, number 1, this refers to the ability to make choices and perform actions. It is an intrinsic and essential property of the human person. A. Freedom. B. Free will. C. Psychological freedom. And D. Voluntariness. Okay, the correct answer is A. Freedom. A type of freedom from physical restraint. A. Moral freedom. B. Physical freedom. C. Psychological freedom. D. Voluntariness. Okay, you can answer. The correct answer will be B. Physical freedom. Number 3. This is the kind of freedom which allows a person to perform actions which he or she considers right and wise. A. Freedom of choosing. B. Voluntarism. C. Psychological freedom. D. Moral freedom. What is your answer? Okay, the correct answer is C. Psychological freedom. It is the ability to act out one's free will and self-determination. A. Voluntarism. B. Responsibility. C. Psychological freedom. D. Voluntariness. Okay, please answer. Yes, the correct answer is A. Voluntarism. Number 5. This means that a person is being accountable for his or her actions and their consequences. A. Responsibly. B. Responsibility. C. Irresponsibleness. D. Voluntariness. Yes, the correct answer is B. Responsibility. Okay. B. I want you to put a check in your paper for the statement which shows responsible use of freedom. I will read each statement. Number 1. Instead of buying new dress for a party she's going to attend, Sheena decides to borrow a dress from her sister. So what do you think? Is this statement show responsible use of freedom? Then you can put a check. So what is your answer? Yes, correct. It shows responsible use of freedom. So the answer will be check. Number 2. Knowing that her classmate will be humiliated by the photo she took, Mika still posted the photo in their class group chat. Is there a responsible use of freedom? Yes, the answer is not. So there is no check. Despite his classmates' friends threatening him, Mark decided to tell his teacher that his classmates stole a test paper for their final examination. So what's your answer? Yes, this shows responsible use of freedom. So check. Number 4. Instead of going out with his friends on a Saturday night, Miguel spent his time with his family. Yes? Is there a responsible use of freedom? Okay, yes, correct. Number 5. Although the beauty product Kim is selling is very in demand, Kim stopped selling it knowing that it can cause harm to the skin if used for a long time. So what is your answer? Yes, correct. There is a responsible use of freedom. Analyzing situations. I'm going to read the following situation in the next slide. And then you're going to analyze how you're going to apply prudence in making a choice to exercise your freedom more responsibly. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. Or you can continue writing your answer in your notebook. Your family is experiencing financial difficulty. You are being enrolled in a private school with a high tuition fee, but your parents do not want you to transfer to a public school despite your situation. As their daughter or son, what are you going to do? A. You're going to stay in your school because that is what your parents want you to do. B. You don't mind because that is your parents' problem. C. You will explain to your parents that transferring school is the best way to resolve the family's financial problem. Letter D. You will stop going to school. Okay, please answer. Okay, then you are going to check your own papers. The answer will be yes, letter C. You will explain to your parents that transferring school is the best way to resolve the family's financial problem. Number 2. A teacher informed you that your brother has to repeat some subjects due to his failing grades. She asked you to tell your parents about it and that she wanted to meet them. But your brother asked you not to tell your parents and that he will find another person to stand as your parents. What are you going to do? A. You will not tell your parents because your brother asked you not to do it. B. You will not tell your parents in exchange of your brother's allowance. C. You won't mind because you do not care about your brother's problem. D. You will tell your parents because you know that granting your brother's request will not do any good but instead will just lead him to do the things that could again affect his studies. Okay, please answer. The answer is correct. Letter D. You will tell your parents because you know that granting your brother's request will not do any good but instead will just lead him to do the things that could again affect his studies. 3. Your best friend humiliated you, making you a laughing stock in your school. As her best friend, you also knew a lot about her that would humiliate her as well when exposed. What then are you going to do? A. You will not do what she did to you because you know that it will not do any good. B. You will expose her secrets so that she will have the same fate as you. C. You will confront and start a fight with her. D. You will not do the same. Instead, you'll do action that will gain back your friendship. Okay, please answer. Correct answer is yes, letter D. You will not do the same. Instead, you'll do action that will gain back your friendship. 4. You are invited to a debut party of your best friend. She expected you to be there. Her birthday falls on a Wednesday, but you're having a final exam the next day. How are you going to deal with the situation? A. You will go to the party and will not study for your exam. B. You will not go to the party and you will study for your exam. C. You will go to the party but you will go home early to study. D. You will not go to the party and will not study. Okay, the correct answer is letter C. You will go to the party but you will go home early to study. You saw a classmate bullied by your schoolmates outside your school. You just turned a blind eye and walked the other way because you do not want to get involved. The next day, you heard the news that your bullied classmate was admitted to the hospital due to injuries. The school and the family of the bullied child is asking if someone saw the incident to have someone to testify. The bullies already warned you not to say a single word, otherwise they will do the same to you. What are you going to do then? A. You will not report because your safety is at stake. B. You will report to prevent the bullies from doing it again. C. You will not report because you do not care about your classmates. D. You will report the incident in exchange for money. Okay, please answer. Yes, the correct answer is B. You will report to prevent the bullies from doing it again. Okay, please count the number of your correct answer. Don't worry if you get low score. It's okay. Later on, I know you're going to have a higher score at the end of this module. Okay? Now, let's start for our lesson 1 for this module 5. Our topic will be the definition of freedom and its kind. Most essential learning competency, realize that all actions have consequences. Okay, so please bear with me. Our review. In a sentence or two, please describe how do you take care of your environment. Can you still remember what was our topic last module in quarter 1? Of course, you can still remember. It's the human person and the environment. And I hope you can answer this question honestly. Yes, we all know that as a responsible human being, we should take care of our environment because the future of our country depends on how we take care of our environment. Okay, so for activity 1, draw me a picture. You're going to draw a picture and then you're going to answer the questions afterwards and you're going to place your answer in a long coupon band with a border design. You're going to draw a picture of a bird inside a cage. Okay? Just simple. A bird, any bird that you want to draw and you're going to draw that inside a cage. You're going to answer these questions. First, in relation to freedom, what do you think does your drawing means? Okay, what do you think is the relationship of your drawing of the bird inside a cage and to our topic, which is freedom? And number 2, what do you think is the difference if the bird is inside the cage and if it is outside? Okay, so number 2 question, you are just going to answer with all honesty. What do you think will be the difference if the bird is inside the cage and if the bird is outside the cage? Of course, still in relation with our topic to freedom. Now, let us find out. What is really freedom? What is the meaning of freedom? Okay, when we say freedom, this is the ability to make choices and perform those choices. The ability to be what we want and to decide and create oneself. So when we say freedom, we are free to do what we want. And there are two concepts that will help us fully understand freedom. The first one is, of course, freedom itself. According to Merriam Dictionary, freedom is the quality or state of being free. So when we say free, there are no hindrances or no one controls you. You are free to do what you want. Next, it is our capacity to choose of what we wanted, an inner awareness of what is right and wrong that is traced to our free will according to Aristotle. So, we are free. We have the capacity to choose what we want. And it is also an intrinsic and an essential property of a human person, which basically means it is a part of our human nature. We say it is a part of our human nature, meaning we're born with our freedom. Next example. Think of yourself as a student. Your teacher told you to study your lessons for the day, for you will have a long quiz the next meeting. However, as you reach home, you find yourself having a good time doing Facebook and online chatting with your friends. Using your freedom, you can either choose to follow your teacher's advice, to study your lesson for your quiz in the next morning, or continue doing the thing which you find enjoyable. So, what are you going to do? So, in this example, this shows your freedom. Use your own free will. No one force you to do what you want to do. You are free to choose between to study your lesson or to continue browsing in Facebook and to chat with your friends. So it depends upon you. You are free. So what you're going to do as a responsible student, you can answer that in yourself. Second one is free will. When we say free will, our free will allows us to decide on things we do depending on the situation. So with our own free will, we can decide whatever you are going to do depend on the situation that arises. Next, it is our ability to choose between two different possible courses of action independently. So in every situation, there is always choices and you are free to choose between those choices. And simply put it, free will is our ability to choose things according to our moral reasoning. So our free will is dependent on our moral reasoning. What is right and what is wrong? What is the decision you're going to make? You're going to do or not? You're going to study or not? Okay, can you follow? I want you to remember, with us humans, our inherent freedom makes us every dynamic creature, and our actions do not necessarily follow a set pattern or predetermined course. Why? Because maybe your mother may ask you to clean your room one day and you will follow her instruction. But the other week, however, you may decide not to clean your room when told you because you feel lazy. The week after, you may decide to clean your room without even told. This varied action indicates that you are exercising your freedom, that you are a dynamic creature. Your actions do not necessarily follow a set pattern or predetermined course. It depends on your mode. Freedom is also understood as the power to be what you want to be and the ability to decide and create yourself. So, your nature as a human person gives you the ability to imagine the future. Your freedom, meanwhile, gives you the ability to survive to achieve that goal. So what you want in the future, it depends upon you, and you can use your own freedom. Not even your parents can dictate you what you want to be in the future. So freedom is rooted in the human person's self-determination and the exercise of intellect and free will. Meaning, this means that a person's every action is freely determined and these actions define him or her. So always remember that you define your own freedom. Okay, so let us continue. We are going to discuss the kinds of freedom. First, physical freedom. It refers to the absence of any physical restraint, meaning you can go anywhere where you want to go, and you have granted the natural limitation, yes, but your physical freedom allows you to act and move in a determined manner. You cannot go everywhere at once, but because of your freedom, it allows it to move from one place to another and to go wherever you want to go. Next, psychological freedom. It is also called freedom of choice. The person is free to perform action that he or she considers right and wise. A person is also free to act or not to act. So we have here psychological freedom. It is innate and cannot be denied as a person. When we say innate, you are born with your psychological freedom. No outside force or influence can compel a person to take action against his or her will, meaning nobody forces you to do or decide for yourself. You alone can do and decide for yourself. Number 3, moral freedom. Refers using freedom in a manner that upholds human dignity and goodness. So, this freedom pertains to our knowledge with our morality, what is right and what is wrong, what is bad and what is good. A person must use his or her freedom to grow as a person. A person becomes more free when he uses freedom well, but become less free when he uses it in a bad way. Humans have a natural inclination for what is true and good. Okay. So, how is freedom an expression of our humanity? Is freedom an expression of our humanity? Yes, of course. We are born free, and being a human, we always express ourselves freely. Number 2, how is freedom related to self-determination? Of course, we are free to do what we want, but with our self-determination, we can use our freedom responsibly. We are determined to achieve all our goals in life and using our freedom. Number 3, how can the loss of freedom lead to dehumanization? Yes, of course, sometimes we lose our freedom because you are a slave of some vices or maybe some diseases, and maybe you are already in a prison cell, so you lose your freedom physically, then you are dehumanized in an aspect. But then, as a human person, we can be free in everything that we are going to do, but of course be responsible so that the freedom that we can have that as long as we live, as we use it responsibly. So for activity 2, in this lesson, you're going to write your reflection in a long coupon band. I'm going you to take a look at the pictures in the next slide. You're going to find out what is the picture all about, and have you been in this kind of situation? What are the things you considered in making choices? Okay. So, this is the picture that we're going to make a reflection. There is one person, there is three direction. If you're a person, where will you go? There are three choices. How you're going to reflect? Do you have any instances that in your life you need to choose? So, what is your choices? What is your choice? What is the basis of your choices? Did you use your freedom responsibly? For the rubrics, you're going to write your reflection, and if your paper relates entirely to the assigned topic or issue, the highest will be 5 and the lowest will be 1. If your reflection convey a genuine personal view regarding the topic or issue, meaning it shows your own personal belief or your own idea. You did not copy it from any materials, especially on the internet. The paper is written following the convention of good writing and standard grammar. It's also important, included, and the work is original and does not contain plagiarized content. So, it has 20 points. Okay, so this is the basis for your reflection. Now, for lesson 2, in module 5, we have the elements of freedom. Most essential learning competencies: evaluate and exercise prudence in choices. Realize that choices have consequences. Some things are given up while others are obtained in making choices. For activity 1, for lesson 2, it's me. You're going to read the situation. I'm going to read the situation that will below and you're going to answer. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. The situation is: one of the barangay in your municipality was struck by an earthquake. Your school will be conducting an outreach activity to help the affected families, and they need a lot of manpower. With this, they are asking for student volunteers who would want to join the said outreach activity. So the situation is there was an earthquake, and your school will conduct an outreach activity to help those affected families. So they ask for volunteer student. Are you going to join the outreach activity? Oh, these are the questions. Would you volunteer to the said activity? Why or why not? B. What do you think drives you to join or not join in the activity? C. If you chose to volunteer to the activity, what are the responsibilities that can associate to your act of volunteerism? Okay, you can answer that in your paper. What are the two elements of freedom? Okay, class. Freedom has two elements. These are voluntariness and responsibility. Or let us find out rather. First element, voluntariness, refers to the ability of person to act out his or her own free will and self-determination. This means that a person may decide to act and these decisions are made out of his own free will. No one forces him or her to do. No one force him or dictate what she will be doing. That's voluntariness. She acts with his or her own free will. And voluntary acts are free acts which can be assigned a corresponding moral value. So it depends on our moral value. Whether you volunteer to clean the ocean or clean the seaside or to volunteer in a certain program in the school or outreach activity. Is responsibility. When we say responsibility, it refers to the person being accountable for his or her action and their consequences. Taking responsibility means you take full responsibility to your action voluntarily or other people will hold you responsibly. For example, if you made a bad action, it's either you take responsibility of it or other people will hold you responsible for it. What does this mean? Example, when your teacher caught you doing good things, doing rather bad things, then if you are responsible, you're going to take full action of your bad action. And you ask forgiveness for the wrongs that you have done. You're not going to point other person that force you to do that bad or wrong action. So that is the meaning of responsibility. You are courageous enough to take full responsibility of your own action. Michael invited Ken to a party club. At the club, Ken was very surprised to see his former classmates and some acquaintances. It was very lively. People were dancing, singing, and others were drinking and smoking. But there is something that caught Ken's attention. A group of people in the corner doing something unusual, and to his surprise, Michael was one of them. He came near to them, and Michael immediately offered him a methamphetamine, or what we call shabu. So, first refused knowing that the use of it is illegal. However, with the persistent effort of Michael, Ken tried it. Unexpectedly, police officers came to raid the club. Ken was abducted. Based on this situation, voluntariness was manifested by Ken's personal acceptance of the illegal drug because he uses his own free will. Responsibility comes with Ken's choice of action, meaning he had to accept his fate to be in the prison cell as a consequence of his free will. No one, Michael did not force him to try the shabu. He has choice, but he chose to try it, and he was responsible for his action. Okay, so class, please always remember in every action that you are going to make, think not only twice but many as you can before you choose which action or which decision you're going to act so that you will not regret in the end. Okay? Have you ever made a voluntary action to address a bad situation? You may have come across some situation where you knew that something bad was happening. Did you make a voluntary action to prevent something bad from happening? Or did you choose not to act? So you can answer this question in your own. Now, let's figure it out. Look at the following pictures. Figure out what is happening and discuss what would be the best course of action in these situations. Yes, there is one minor who is smoking and one boy who is playing with the tail of the dog. So, here, what are you going to do if you were in the situation? You have the choice and you have also your freedom, your free will, and voluntariness. Are you going to choose and have a decision to say to that young boy that smoking is dangerous to your health? And to say also to that boy that playing an animal is bad, it may cause him a bite from a dog and cause a rabies virus. It may cause him to death, or it may lead him to die. And of course, always be kind to animals. So in this drawing, you always have that choices, and you can volunteer for yourself to do good things and act your freedom responsibly. Okay? Always remember, taking responsibility can either mean a person voluntarily taking a responsibility for his actions or being held responsibly or responsible by other people. Okay, when you broke a vase, then you're responsible in breaking it. You're not going to pinpoint the dog that goes the ways from broken or breaking it. Whenever you know you committed a bad action, you can either voluntarily confess to it or other people will point it out and hold you responsible. So responsibility can also have a positive or negative meaning, and it goes hand in hand with voluntariness in determining the morality of an action. Okay, so please class, we can now reflect on our action to better understand them and guide us toward making the best possible decision. We can therefore begin to examine our actions, habits, and behavior by asking ourselves the following questions. So every time you're going to decide, always take into consideration these following questions. What should I do? Why should I do it? What will happen if I do it? How will my action or behavior affect myself, others, and my surroundings? Will my action or behavior be considered correct, proper, beneficial, and moral? So after answering those questions, it can help you to exercise your freedom with responsibility, and also to use your own free will, to volunteer, to use your freedom, and also to be self-determined in whatever dreams or goal in your life that you want to achieve in the future. Okay, so always remember, there are important factors to consider in the exercise of freedom. These are prudence and self-reflection. We say prudence, it is the ability to govern and discipline oneself with the use of reason. Meaning you are uh, deciding using wise decision. It is having caution and giving good judgment in making decision. You are caution. You are cautious in every decision that you are going to make. Because remember, once you made a decision, there is no turning back. There is no rewind. So we should always reflect first on the possible outcome of the choices that we are going to make. Self-reflection is very important and exercising freedom. And class, it is not like doing or making a movie that once it is not good, then you are going to rewind or make another video coming from that project. So life is always a choice and you should be prudent in making every decision. Next, self-reflection. It allows us to be more rational in making choices because sometimes human beings tend to be swayed by their emotion and moods whenever they act certain things. Yeah, and of course, we should always reflect. That's why when we are angry, we should not decide. Or when you are very happy, you're going to reflect first. As free being, exercising our freedom responsibly is very important. It requires us to reflect on the action that we are going to make by considering its possible effects and the benefits it has to the people affected by it. Okay, so for your questions to ponder, why are voluntariness and responsibility important elements of freedom? Is the choice of doing nothing a valid and moral choice? In what situation is this choice acceptable? How can self-reflection aid you in exercising freedom and making choices? So you can answer all of these questions with your own honestly. Okay, for activity 2, for what's more, you're going to make your own personal timeline in a long Kanban. As a student, you have made some important life decisions in the past. You're going to make a timeline of major decisions in your life, and below the line, you're going to write down the consequence of those particular decisions. This is the example. Here, below, you can see the age. But you can choose which age you want that you have some decision that you made in your life. In the upper line, you're going to write that decision, and in the lower line, you're going to write the consequence of your decision. Okay? And then, you're going to recall a situation in your life that in where you apply prudence in making a choice. How does this decision create an impact to your life? So that's simple. You're just going to recall the decision you made in the past, very major decision. Then, did you apply prudence or cautious decision in making those actions? Okay, so that's your reflection for lesson 2. Remember, responsibility is accepting that you are the cause and the solution of the matter. So I'm your teacher, Mom Love.